They thought he'd back down. That reinstatement and a few headlines would be enough. But Dr. Elijah Brooks wasn't done. Because now he wasn't just fighting for his job. He was fighting to expose a machine. And machines like this, they don't stop until someone rips the plug. He stared at the photo again. 10 years ago, he was just a med student, innocent, hungry, grateful. But in the blurred corner, that man in the dark suit had already started watching. Why? Why him? Why so far back? The envelope had no fingerprints, no note, but the message was clear. We know who you are. We know where you've been, and we're still watching. Kendra was furious. They followed you for a decade. That's not retaliation. That's obsession. She was right. This wasn't just targeting. It was planning. The pieces started falling into place. The surprise inspections, the anonymous complaints, the unjust delays in his board certifications. All of it was groundwork. They weren't just trying to destroy his career. They were trying to control the entire pipeline. Because Alton Rand wasn't just about security. It was about surveillance, compliance, filtering out the problems before they rose too high. And the real question, how many other Elijah Brooks had they buried quietly? They needed answers. So they tracked the last known address of the whistleblower. Apartment 6B, door cracked open. Everything gone, except for one thing, a torn receipt. From a storage facility, locker 114, paid in cash, under a fake name. They drove 2 hours out of the city. Quiet town, deserted parking lot. Dr. Brooks slid the key into the unit. It creaked open. Inside, stacks of boxes, labeled only with initials. ARSSNHSEHP. They opened one. Documents, flash drives, surveillance logs, hundreds of files, names, photos, recordings. It wasn't just Elijah. They were watching doctors, teachers, activists, all black, all outspoken, all labeled high risk. And at the bottom of one box, a list titled Termination Priority Phase 2. Dr. Brooks's name was on it. So was Kendra's, and half a dozen others who'd stood with him. Kendra whispered, "This isn't about hospitals anymore." She was right. This was infrastructure, policy, strategy. They thought they were fighting for one man's reputation. But now, they were holding proof of a statewide operation. They called a lawyer, a real one this time, federal level, who owed Dr. Brooks a favor. They encrypted the files, made backups, sent one to the press anonymously. And just when they thought they were ahead, the power went out, complete blackout. Not just their building, the whole block. Generator kicked in, but their Wi-Fi was dead. Phones? No signal. Screens blinked, then turned blue. One sentence appeared, "Return what you found." Kendra grabbed her laptop, tried to reboot. Nothing. She reached for her external drive. Gone. And then, a knock at the door, not a knock. A pattern. 3 short, 2 long, 1 slow. Elijah froze. "I know that knock," he said. "It's from my dorm days." He opened the door slowly. No one there. Just another envelope. Inside, a flash drive, labeled only Rand, DBA 1013. They played it. It was a video. Grainy, hidden camera, a boardroom, big leather chairs, men in suits. One standing at the head, the man in the shadows. Only now. He spoke. "This generation is too loud," he said. "They think credentials protect them, that degrees give them power. We funded their education. We own their futures." He turned toward the camera, just a sliver of his face visible, but his voice, unmistakable. He named names, named contracts, named targets. Dr. Elijah Brooks was mentioned, 5 years before he ever stepped into the hospital. The screen cut to black. Then text appeared. "There's more, but it will cost you." Dr. Brooks turned to Kendra. "They're baiting us." "But they made one mistake," she said. "They think we scare easy." They didn't. Not now. The next morning, a national journalist called. She'd received the leaked files, wanted to publish, but her editor got cold feet, said it was too risky, said certain donors wouldn't like it. That's when they realized the corruption didn't stop at hospitals. It reached into media, politics, law. The only way forward? Go louder, go public, and be ready for war. They scheduled an emergency press event, invited allies, whistleblowers, legal reps. Dr. Brooks stood backstage, heart pounding, envelope in hand, proof that could shatter careers. But as he stepped onto the stage, his phone buzzed. A text, unknown number. One sentence. "If you speak today, you won't leave alive." The message was clear. If you speak today, you won't leave alive. But Dr. Elijah Brooks didn't flinch. He didn't come this far to back down. He looked out from backstage. Cameras lined the walls. Journalists, lawyers, community leaders. And seated in the front row, Nurse Kendra Hughes, calm, fierce, a silent promise in her eyes. "We don't run." He took the stage, his voice steady, low, controlled. "I was dragged out of my hospital not because I failed, but because I refused to be silent." He opened the envelope, held up a contract. "This," he said, "is a document connecting Alton Rand to a statewide network of hospitals, where black doctors are labeled liabilities, where nurses like Kendra are flagged for discipline, for standing with the truth." The room shifted. Murmurs, cameras clicking, reporters scribbling, and then he plugged in the flash drive, the one labeled Rand 2013. The screen behind him lit up. The boardroom, the shadowed man. His voice played through the speakers. "We own their futures. Credentials don't protect them. Control the gatekeepers. You control the system." Gasps echoed through the room. And finally, the man's face turned just enough for the audience to see. Not Raymond Alton, but Congressman Everett Rand, a sitting U.S. lawmaker, owner of Alton Rand Strategic Solutions, and the architect of a silent purge. Within minutes, the live stream trended nationwide. Clips of the confessions spread like wildfire. Expose Alton Rand. Protect black doctors. Oak Brook's truth. The story couldn't be buried now. Not with millions watching. Not with the world awake. But as the conference ended, security rushed the stage. Dr. Brooks, you're under protective custody. Protective? From whom? Because down the block, an unmarked van idled. Inside, 2 men, suits, earpieces, the same type who pulled strings in silence. Except this time, they weren't alone. Across the street, news vans rolled in. So did activists, lawyers, medical workers. The men in suits hesitated. Too many eyes. Too much light. That night, Nurse Kendra drove Dr. Brooks home. "I should be terrified," she said, "but I feel free." He nodded. This fight wasn't just mine. It was all of ours. Within days, Congressman Rand was subpoenaed. Raymond Alton was arrested, attempting to flee the country. Federal investigations launched across 5 states. Whistleblowers came out of hiding. One by one, their voices no longer trembling. The machine had cracked, and light was pouring in. Hospitals began terminating contracts with Alton Rand. Union nurses were reinstated. Lawsuits were filed. Names were cleared. And Dr. Elijah Brooks? He walked back into his hospital, not as a pawn, but as a symbol, a leader, a survivor, a man they tried to erase, who came back with a pen and a spotlight. Months later, he entered a classroom. Young black med students sat up straighter. Future nurses, future surgeons, future disruptors. He set his bag down. "This isn't a lecture," he said. "This is resistance training." He wrote one word on the board: legacy. Then he smiled. "We don't just save lives here, we save futures." Because they tried to break one black doctor. But instead, they built a movement.